Welcome to Break Free to Brilliance podcast, empowering women in business through thought-provoking interviews and insights. Embrace your authentic power, explore the impact of your story, and discover how writing your best-selling book can amplify your message, authority, and the 3 I's: impact, influence, and income. Let each episode guide you towards brilliance in minutes. This is your host, Seema Giri. There's a moment in every person's life where staying silent becomes heavier than speaking. Not because you suddenly feel confident, but because you realize that withholding your voice is costing you something. I've lived in rooms where I was the only immigrant, rooms where I was underestimated, and places where I questioned whether I should shrink or step forward. And what I've learned is this. Voice isn't about volume, it's about ownership. And ownership changes the trajectory of your life. Hi, this is your friend Seema, and you are listening to Break Free to Brilliance podcast. If you're tuning in while you're building something meaningful, whether it's a business, a movement, or a new chapter, and you know you're meant to be seen more clearly, this conversation is for you. And thank you so much for tuning in. When we hesitate to fully express ourselves, the cost isn't just missed visibility, it's missed alignment. We make smaller decisions, we accept smaller rooms, and we tell smaller stories. And over time, that, I believe, shapes your identity. As you listen today, I want you to notice where you might still be negotiating your own voice. Not where you lack skill, but where are you still asking for permission? By the end of this conversation, you'll understand how voice, responsibility, and visibility intersect and why stepping forward is less about confidence and more about clarity. My guest today is Sebastian. Sebastian is a public speaker, entrepreneur, and communication strategist dedicated to helping leaders and visionaries articulate their message with clarity and conviction. Through his work, he supports professionals in refining their voice, strengthening their presence, and building authentic authority rooted in purpose rather than performance. His approach blends practical communication frameworks with deep personal responsibility, guiding individuals to own their story and step into visibility with integrity. Welcome, Sebastian. So wonderful to have you here today.
It's an honor to be here, Seema. Thank you so much for having me. And I loved that introduction. That was beautiful words. I could not have put it better myself.
Thank you. So, Sebastian, one of the reasons I wanted to speak with you is because voices is deeply personal for me as well. You know, growing up, navigating different cultures, I lived in India, Germany, the US. I learned very early how to adapt my voice depending on where I was. But adaptation and ownership, they're not the same thing. So I had to learn a lot of how not to shrink anymore before I could fully step into who I was becoming. So let's begin with you. What was that moment in your own life where you realized that finding your voice was not optional, it was necessary?
Well, I would say in my case was after discovering that not being articulate in your voice literally chokes out every hope and dream you could possibly ever have. In the cases of most people, the reason why they never even achieve success is because they never dare to articulate what a goal even looks like for themselves. We are afraid of our own voices because to speak something out, to define what success looks like, means to also define what failure looks like. Interpreting our dreams and beginning to understand them is terrifying because we begin to understand how far we are from them. So most people never do. In my case, I was trying to get my business off the ground. I've ran businesses since I was 14 and really never saw any success until I was about 20. I dumped tens of thousands of dollars into ads, into social media, and nothing worked. And I realized It's because we are living in an authenticity drought. Nobody cares anymore. No one's picking up the cold calls. No one's clicking on the ads. People are swiping right over you. The only thing that people connect with, and the most expensive things for anyone to achieve nowadays, we're seeing major corporations collapse because they cannot throw enough money into these problems. Those three things are connection, authority, and trust. The only way to build them is by speaking. That solves all three issues at the same time on all fronts. So what saved my businesses and saved my family from homelessness, because both of my parents lost their jobs at the same time, right when I desperately needed my businesses to succeed, what led to my explosive growth was getting invited to a stage. I did not expect anything from it, but I spoke in front of about 300 people, and I spoke about my purpose, my vision, my passion. My business was no longer about profit. It was about something that it wanted to change in the world. And that allowed everyone in that audience to align with me. And almost every single person there subscribed, signed up, or booked a call with me. I saw overnight success like I never thought imaginable. And ever since then, I knew that public speaking was the way to go.
But Sebastian, um, the fear of public speaking is higher than death itself.
It
There's
is.
a study done on that.
70% of people fear public speaking more than dying. So there's a
Yeah.
little saying that says people will rather be in the casket than giving the eulogy. And it's very
Exactly. So for those business owners, and I agree with you, as a business owner, you have to eventually at some point you're going to have to start speaking. I
totally.
used to be extremely shy and start sweating in front of people, especially when we had to do our class presentations, right? Nobody would have, if my teachers from back then and my friends from back then see me now, they would never believe it's the same person. So life has a way of putting you in positions where you have no choice but to do that. And if you're a business owner or even professionally, if not a business owner, presentation and speaking and persuading people and showing them the direction as a leader, you have to do that. So, Sebastian, how can someone who has that kind of a fear start with public speaking?
I think people that give advice on how to hack fear, I think that's actually a mistake. You're never going to hack fear. I still get scared when I have to go up and speak. But as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, my existence is defined by the ability to overcome. I overcame fear the first time I started my business. I overcame fear the first time I had to do a call or anything like that. There is no hack to it. The only real solution to overcoming a fear in public speaking is by doing it more. I
Mm-hmm.
usually start off some of my speakers. So, someone contracts me as their agency and they tell me, listen, Sebastian, I'm really scared to speak. I'll start them off with some online stages. Then I'll slowly ease them into some live stages and things like that to warm them up a little bit. But you're always going to feel the fear. The question is, what is greater? The fear of your purpose or your desire to achieve it?
Mm-hmm.
And just like you said so eloquently, Seema, the truth is, if you are looking for any kind of success, you need to speak. You need to be articulate, even if it's just internally. You need to understand what it is that you're trying to say. The book that I'm writing right now is called, listen to this title, I love this. I'm writing a book called You Are a Genius, but You Sound Like an Idiot. It
I love
sounds
it.
insulting. Yeah, it sounds insulting until you realize that everyone is a genius, and the only problem is that they allow their brilliance to die in the dark because they cannot get other people to understand where they want to go. And one man's mark isn't much. You can't go far by yourself. That's just the truth. People have to understand where it is that you're going to be able to follow you. So I completely agree with you, Seema, and I would definitely encourage everybody to overcome that fear.
Well, and I guess what I have also come to know is that if you're a business owner, you're in the business of supporting and helping people move from point A to point B, have some level of transformation. And if you're not going to be able to articulate that, then you're not doing what you're intended to do and what you're here for, right? All of us eventually go into businesses, our own businesses, because we have that purpose in life that we need to fulfill. So one, you're not fulfilling your purpose and you're not supporting the people that you're supposed to. So it actually becomes a responsibility, right?
Exactly right.
Visibility becomes a responsibility. You are that lighthouse that people are looking for. And if you're not shining bright by speaking and by being out there and sharing your message, they can't find you. So,
Mhm.
what are your thoughts on that as the visibility as a responsibility?
Well, I would definitely say that we all have a duty, right? I think to not speak, and again, this is all success comes down to articulation. I'm a firm believer of that. To not be someone who can articulate a vision means that you're allowing all your potential to die with you. You are
Mhm.
quite literally robbing the world of everything that you could have done, robbing the people around you of the best version of yourself, which is, and I apologize for the harshness, but it is selfish and it's a disgrace. Your
Mhm.
duty is to, your divine duty as a human being is to incorporate your purpose as much as possible. And so to that, I'll actually share a brief story of one of my closest friends, and he's also a great speaker himself. His name is Timothy McCain. And he's a book publisher. He's an amazing book publisher. And what got him into publishing books and helping people amplify their voices was this one time where he felt an urge to speak to somebody, to tell them, and I apologize for getting a little religious, but he's a Christian and he talked, and he felt that he needed to tell this kid that God loved him. And he
Mhm.
didn't. He put it off. He thought, I mean, that's stupid. I'm embarrassed. Why would I go up to some random kid to do that? And so he didn't. About a week later, he attended a funeral from his class. Turns out that kid had killed himself. And
Oh
if he
no.
would have just spoken up, that life could have been saved, right? And I think as human beings, we only suffer in vain if we don't allow others to benefit from our struggle, our suffering, our voice, everything that we've been through. The only reason we've advanced as a species is by passing forward experience, knowledge, and passion. So speaking is absolutely a duty to everybody.
Definitely. It's all about stories, right? That's how we learn. And that's how things have been passed down for centuries in our human civilization. And that stories is what connects all of us. Sebastian and I are from different parts of the world with different backgrounds, right? But we're connected because of our desire to share our stories to help other people and that transformation. And that's the whole reason I got into publishing and speaking, right? I feel if someone like me who's so timid, so shy, who would rather die than be speaking, is now doing this, actively seeking speaking, anyone can do it. And it's really about service, right? It's about service, service to yourself and service to others who are looking for that. So, Sebastian, you help people align their internal identity with their external expression. How do you go about that?
Well, it's a journey that I take with each and every one of my speakers. And I've worked with people from authors to people that want to be motivational speakers. And even one of my contracts is his name is Dr. Philip Mead. He is the guy that NASA hired to speak after the Columbia rocket explosion. So I've worked with a wide variety of people, but the journey is always tailored to them. However, the root of what is leading the direction and the alignment to where they want to go is almost always the same. It comes with a simple question. And this is the mentality that everyone needs to have, not just as a speaker, but as a human being and a leader.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to change in the world? Even if it's just your world, what is your message even about? Right? Why do you deserve the stage? And I know that maybe sound a little bit, rough, but it's true. You need to get acquainted with, okay, why do I deserve it? Right? You have to believe that you deserve it, and you have to believe in your message. So the first step that I have with all my speakers is very simple. I ask them, what makes you a revolutionary speaker? I'm a revolutionary. I'm asking, what do you want to give to people? There's one kind of person that I'll never work with, and I think no one ever would. And it is the kind of person that's looking to take something from others. Everybody can sense that. The kind of entrepreneur, the false entrepreneur that's just looking to make a quick buck, they're looking in every call, every interaction that they have, they're looking for what they can take. And that is blocking the channels of their speaking and of their success because they're obsessed with profit, with money, with what I can take from you. Nothing is authentic in that. I want to work with people who think, what can I give? What can I provide? All success comes to that. What are you looking to provide, and how are you going to articulate that to the world? That's the first question. And that always becomes the heart of everything that comes after for a speaker.
Mm. And that's really important. Really understanding, basically what you're saying is, what is your why, right? What is your why, and how do you want to be in service to? So it's really just fine tuning what your vision and mission is of your company, of your business that you already have. So you're really not starting from scratch. Probably what it is just getting a little bit more into the heart, because so many of us, and when we're doing running business, believe we're doing it from our head, the intellectual part. And this is where you have to really drop down into your heart, because you're connecting with people, and this is how you connect with your heart, right? And really becoming more intentional. And actually, speaking is the fastest path to grow your business.
Amen. It is.
Right? It is the fastest path to grow your business, because that's how you really build that know, like, trust factor that Sebastian was talking about earlier. And then that can get carried. So how do speakers then go from the live speeches to really taking that onto social media as well, and trying and having a bigger reach?
Well, we also do help with that. I'm not the biggest fan of blindly doing social media content. As a matter of fact, I think a lot of people would agree that they've seen very few results by blindly trying to do social media. Your content has to be fine-tuned to the exact thing that I'm talking about here. Value, value, value. Providing value to an audience. That's it, right? But you also do have to put yourself in a position where people are going to listen. If you're just doing talking head content by doing like this and talking, a lot of the time people will swipe right through, no matter how good your hooks are. What I do for my speakers is actually taking what they're already doing as speakers on stage, recording their podcasts, their summits, their webinars, everything that they do, and repurposing that into content. Now, there's a reason why this works so effectively, and it's actually the greatest thing that you can do for organic content boosting, because there's a psychological switch that happens in people's minds when they see someone on a stage with a microphone, when they see someone that others are listening to. It is a psychologically priming them for believing that this person is a person of authority, an expert in this field, and they need to be listening. That is part of the reason why speaking is so effective. Combine that with social media, and I guarantee you're going to get better engagement on everything. Instead of recording a video of you just talking to your camera like anyone else, try recording yourself talking on stage. You'll definitely notice better numbers.
Definitely, yeah. Those are authority positioning tools. Yeah. So this is my belief, and it's actually, what's helped so many, including me, grow my own business, right? You have a message, you should write a book or be in an anthology, right? That's the fastest way to build your credibility and authority. Then you need to start speaking. Books, I've noticed with my clients, because of their book, because they're published author, they're getting selected more for speaking engagements, and even getting paid more than someone who does not have a book. And if you're a speaker already, you definitely need to write a book.
Exactly right. So Tim and I, so Tim is my friend who's a publisher, like I said. We're both very firm believers that every speaker needs to be an author, and every author needs to be a speaker.
Yeah.
The synergy of the two it's so powerful. It's part of the reason why I got into this field. It's because, and a lot of people that I work with are authors. It's simply because having a book builds so much credibility. And at the same time, no one's going to it happens that they randomly pick up a book, But when you have an author that is a crusader of what they wrote down and is actually out there preaching their word, that is beautiful. That is going to make people, it's going to skyrocket you from just an author to a movement. That is crucial. So I definitely agree with that, and it's part of the reason why I'm getting my my couple books out now. It's definitely something that I've needed to do for a long time. So I always encourage people, and if I have a speaker that hasn't had a book yet, I at some point I'll send them out to a publisher, and vice versa. I get publishers that send people to me all the time too.
Yeah, no, that is really, really important. So these are the tools to really grow your business, right? You've gotten to a certain stage, and now you want to go to the next level, to fulfill your dreams, to find your tribe, to be of service to them. So you really need to start speaking. And Sebastian, for those who are just starting out, would you agree that they can start doing it through social media, start doing lives, start speaking into networking groups, start locally, and then just go bigger?
Yeah, I think that's always a good place to start. I think it was a funny thing that happens to us people, right? Even though we as humans are social creatures, we are on average terrible communicators. And it's because we all have blocks in speaking. It's part of the reason why speakers are always so successful, because we all follow people who we wish we could speak like. We all have traumas with speaking, whether it's from our parents who always tell us to be quiet as kids, from classmates growing up, or even ourselves and our own insecurity. The first key to establishing yourself as a speaker and as someone who's going to experience success, because I believe that the two are interchangeable and deeply aligned, is to just start breaking through those traumas one by one. Easiest way to do that is get comfortable speaking to people. Get comfortable speaking and watching yourself speak, which you do on social media all the time. It's why it's a great exercise.
Yeah.
Then get used to speaking to multiple people at the same time, live. And then little by little, just keep dipping your toes into the water until that fear begins to slowly evaporate. It'll never go away completely, but you've developed the courage to always overcome it in exchange for where you want to be and who you want to be.
Definitely, that's a great place to start. So, as you've been listening to our conversation here, it's not about our voices just being louder. It's about intentionally communicating. And if you feel like you're not a good communicator, I think AI has really helped us because we don't get the results we want. We have to tell it another way and tell it another way. So that's how we're giving instructions to AI and then getting the results we want. I think is really helping us with our written communication. So if you take that and convert that into spoken communication, that's really going to be a key. And it's also about being congruent, right? It's about really being congruent, and congruence is what is going to build authority over time and position you as the expert in your area. So Sebastian has given some amazing points. So make sure to start incorporating at least one of them. Because if you really want to grow, you need to start speaking more, speaking with more intention, and really to be of service to your tribe. Sebastian, any last parting words of wisdom to our audience?
I definitely have something important. Beyond just encouraging people to become speakers, I want them to realize what makes powerful speaking, just something to ponder for people that are looking to take this direction. What is going to make you not just a speaker, but a successful one and a business owner and a successful one or successful in whatever field you want is anytime that you say something, what differentiates talking from speaking is direction. If your words carry action and are signaling a path or guiding people towards something, you are a speaker. But if you notice that when you're talking, nothing around you changes, you're just talking. That's it. So it's important. I want everyone here in the audience to think about their why, let that guide their voice, and then practice their delivery so that when they do talk about things, things start to change. Things happen. It's not just words, it's actions manifesting from a voice. So with that, I'm happy to close out. I think we've covered everything.
That's wonderful. And that's a really important distinction. Thank you for saying that. If you're speaking, if it's not moving to an action, you're just talking. I couldn't have said it better myself. Sebastian, thank you so much for being here. This has been amazing.
Thank you so much for having me on. It's been an honor.
Thank you. Okay, so here's a question that I want to leave you with to our listeners. Are you waiting to feel confident before you step forward, or are you willing to step forward so confidence can grow? For me, visibility stopped feeling intimidating when it stopped being about proving and started being about owning and of being of service to others. So remember, your voice carries your brilliance. You don't want to negotiate it. Until next time, this is Seema. Stay aligned, stay aware, and keep stepping into your brilliance. Be sure to connect with Sebastian. Their information is going to be in the show notes below with their links and their free gifts. And I want to take a moment to mention that the content shared in this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. My guests and I share personal experiences and real life examples that have helped us live our best lives, much like friends sharing stories. While we strive to provide valuable information, it's important to consult with professionals for advice tailored to your individual circumstances. Thank you for being part of our community, and thank you for spending this time with me. Remember, your story is your strength. Until next time, stay inspired and keep making a difference. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Break Free to Brilliance podcast, and I hope you had some key takeaways that you can implement right away. Be sure to subscribe to Break Free to Brilliance wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also follow along with us on social media using the links in the show notes below. We'll see you again for the next episode.